Well, welcome to Feel Resilient. Who to trust with your health, your liberty, your sustainability, and your spirituality. It's my real pleasure to introduce you to my friend Teresa McCloy of the Real Life Process. Teresa is going to help us to understand first of all, what matters, and then to do what matters. And there's something that maybe like you've struggled like I have. And that is, first of all, to know what matters and then to focus deep into doing what matters. And I don't think it's possible to feel resilient, right? Really, a deep down resilience that you can move forward regardless of the storms of your life, unless you have a deep understanding of knowing what matters and then to focus on those things, doing those things that matter. So I certainly hope you enjoy our discussions on Feel Resilient.
Mirror and give good context to achievement. And you wrote down the need for peace. So let me give you these 4 words and see which one resonates with you.
Okay.
Quietness, stillness, serenity, or about balance. So that's a 2-word.
About balance?
Mm-hmm.
Could you give them to me once again?
Yeah. So when you think about peace, the exact need, is it a need for quietness, for stillness, for serenity, or for balance?
It's for quiet.
Ah,
Yeah. I love quiet. My grandson is over right now while we're recording. And so I'm saying to my wife, Anne, can you keep him quiet?
so tell me, within your week, within your work week, Steve, where do you find quiet?
Well, first of all, in the clinic, I don't, because there's no time. I'm just perpetually with the, it's next, it's the next person, right? And not that, and I've had to make sure that I'm conscious that it's not just a patient, but it's a person, right? With their own uniqueness, and my relationship with them, not just as one of their doctors, but as somebody who's caring for them. And the nice thing about my practice is I see people more often, let's say, than certain types of specialists who you might see once every year or 6 months or something like that. So I have the opportunity to build relationships with people over time. And but yeah, there's no quiet. When I come home, the advantage we have now, because all our children, we have empty nest. So there is usually quiet at home. But I don't have, and I've been looking for this, because at our church right now, our pastor's going through the Lord's Prayer. So pray this, or pray like this, as a framework.
Mm-hmm.
And this idea that to find a time and place, it's almost like, in the Old Testament, Daniel, whatever his room was that he would go and pray in every day. And then when he was threatened, open the doors or windows and let everybody hear you.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, so I'm just struggling with where in my home right now could I find this place of peace and quiet, and then even to start practicing the discipline of what I'm learning with the Lord's Prayer. So it's just a question.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
It's a great question to sit with, the quietness. And we'll talk about that more even as we get into the managing of time in our everyday, ordinary lives. And what does it look like? I mean, you said, I've been looking for this. Mm-hmm. So you can hear how it's a need, out of the quietness, out of the rest that I'm living from rest, not rush. Out of the quietness comes the achievement.
Mhm.
Out of the quietness comes the ideas that, as someone looking in a spiritual way, that you're taking in prayer, that you're taking in your time of quiet. Out of that comes ideas. Out of that comes remembrance of the achievement. Out of that comes the practice of what you want to incorporate from the Lord's Prayer. Do you remember the movie? I can't think of it. I'm sure somebody listening will remember it, of the woman who had the prayer closet. Have you ever seen that movie where, she's going to pray for people and she actually clears out like a little walk-in closet,
Yeah,
and
that's
she
right.
goes in and she prays, and she teaches this younger woman how to create her prayer closet for her marriage and all of these things. That's what I hear you needing is, I want a chair, I want a place, I want I love using certain music that kind of triggers my brain, that we're going instrumental music that triggers me, that we're going into quiet, that I'm going
Yeah.
into that place.
Yeah.
I also think, and I know many of your listeners are going to be leaders who are leading practices and, doctors and different things. The more that you study leadership, the more that you realize really good leaders have lots of quiet time,
Mhm.
almost more quiet time than they do, because that's where they're creating content. That's where they're writing books. That's where they're preparing for whatever the next thing is. But they're spending a lot of quiet time. And I think that's hard for us because we think of achievement
Mhm.
as doing, but most true leaders in the world are spending a lot of time in solitude and quiet and alone and, in those places. So I think that's some really good things for you to ponder in those
Yeah.
last few of achievement and quietness and integrity.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed my discussion with Teresa McCloy from the Real Life Process, helping you understand what really matters, and then, of course, doing what matters. And I personally don't think that you can move forward effectively and really feeling resilient unless you know what matters to you, and then you focus on doing what matters to you. So again, trust that you've enjoyed that conversation and look forward to you seeing many more of these conversations going forward as we build out for you under the umbrella of feel resilient, this idea of really understanding and doing what matters. See you on the next video.